Man, let me tell you, the programming is intense. And you have to deal with each layer of programming separately and give time to it, evolve it, play with it, toss it around, understand the programming, why you're focusing on this specific thing. And then at some point, there must be a change in the thought process. And so I was looking at my title of my book and I'm just like, dude, this is just too freaking long. This is convoluted long and it's just stupid. And so what it really came down to, the title of my book, is The Age of Reckoning. We are in the age of reckoning right now. And I'm remembering some of the people's, like my husband and other people have told me their curses, their gifts, and their spells. And they're all pejorative. Because you were programmed at birth. You were programmed with all of your predisposed issues. Some people had the gift of hardly needing to have to sleep. And so they're able to just stay up all night, stay up all day, only get 4 hours of sleep in like 2 days and get so much done. But that's a curse, that's a gift, and that's a spell. They're going to have a time of reckoning. That's only going to last so long. Some people have the gift of intellect. They were born with the gift of intellect. And so they are doing amazing things intellectually. They're writing papers and writing books and writing this and writing that. But that only lasts so long. They're going to have to reckon with that something had to be given up at some point to give them that. And then they're going to have to then deal with the fallout of having those gifts right out the door. Some people were born with so many different diseases, and then they were given so many antibiotics to give them a relatively manageable life. But those diseases, in between the times of being cured, kept popping and rearing its ugly head. And then the person would, like me, would keep giving it antibiotics, keep doing things to make the situation worse. And then there is an age of reckoning, a time of reckoning. I had that the last couple weeks. I had to reckon with everything that I ever did to myself in reaction to my childhood issues. And so it doesn't matter the rabbit holes of CERN, of Wi-Fi, of HARP, or of the viruses, or even all the therapeutics. Well, it does and it doesn't. If you still buy into being cured and taking antibiotics in the medical holistic system, it doesn't matter HARP, CERN, Wi-Fi, viruses, war, this and that, because you will not survive the environment with all of your curses, gifts, and spells that were given to you right out of the fucking gate. How many kids out there who are born beautiful and they have the curse, the gift, and the spell, but they don't know what kind of shit in their predisposed issues is lurking behind them inside? And who's to say how long they're going to last looking as beautiful and as gorgeous as they are today? And so, then now you realize that parents, new parents, or even current parents who have maybe 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, your children have so many curses in them, so many gifts and so many spells within them. How are you going to bring out the gifts and deal with the curses and the spells? Or are you going to make that monster bigger, more aggressive, and more deadly with all the different antibiotics? And every single therapy out there is a type of antibiotic. Because even a probiotic can be antibiotic when the body can't handle that much growth and there isn't a release process. And so there is a secondary reaction, which is an antibiotic effect from a probiotic. Because then you are developing a lot of cancer, which is antibiotic, because it's now taking over the body and eating all of your good cells and the nutrients. Though technically, probiotic and cancer is not antibiotic. When you think about it, it's just proteins trying to proliferate. but you as the person is fighting for your autonomy, fighting to stay alive, and something is taking away your life force. And so when it comes down to it, my book is called The Age of Reckoning because we're in it. I had to go through the process of going down the rabbit holes of the frequencies, going down the rabbit holes of CERN, Wi-Fi, HARP, going down the rabbit holes of politics, religion, and science. Though I'm still going to mention that, but there is even a bigger picture besides politics, religion, and science. It's the gods and demigods. It is understanding that even allegory was explaining what they did back in antiquity, and even in the Greco-Roman days, they just took people and bioengineered them with humors, gave them the strengths and the weaknesses, and then people worshiped those that were influential, and then had their own little demigod, god worship type of situation. And you see that in all the families and associations. How many queen bees and king bees exist out there who claim to be the leader of their group or the leader of their circle of people? And people bow down to them and worship them and all that stuff. And go over the cliff with them as well. And so what happened back in Imhotep days when he was using antibiotics and he dubbed himself a priest, and of course he was the chancellor to the pharaoh, he's doing the same thing that we're doing today, but we do it in a much larger scale with a lot more people. And we have advanced technology like the computers, okay, and all the different devices to then track how people use their power and how aggressive or subservient they are. And that's how, of course, the movers and shakers in our society figure out how to market and direct society based upon how people are reacting and responding. And we're actually reacting and responding no different than they did back then, but now it's easier to track and easier to even do pre-crime to figure out who's going to be like an indicator of who's going to be, a little out there, and then synthetically prompt someone to act, but then control that situation, which happened in January 6th. Okay? But that needed to happen because it's been brewing for years. You realize the right wing, InfoWars, the right wing have been brewing for years about how all of this stuff as far as the conspiracy world. Okay? And so sometimes you have to have a catalyst to just make a little explosions so that way you can manage those little explosions before, if you allow something to happen organically, it could be catastrophic. And so there has to be a controlled type of explosion type of thing. And that's fine because we have allowed so much of the brewing of anger and resentment and predisposed issues. We let that happen for so many years. And so now it is the moment of truth. It is right now as the rubber is meeting the road. It is the age of reckoning. And you're going to find that the politics, religion, and science used allegory and then programmed people to be gods and demigods to influence people. To not only innovate, but also to self-destruct. And there is a specific programming within a time. Before COVID, it was all about being cured and looking cute and playing up to the superficial image of all of those standards of beauty. And now with the COVID and all the different frequencies, now you're seeing those that are heavily cured that bought into that. Some will be able to be okay and last for however long, but you're also seeing even the beautiful people breaking down and having issues. It surprised me that Ashton Kutcher had that type of rare exotic disease lurking within him. He's beautiful. Remember, beauty is only skin deep. Beautiful people have so much lurking within them because of how bioengineered they are. Successful people in our society who are able to just go like Ricochet Rabbit, go. They don't take time to rest. They don't take time to fucking take a breather. And they will go themselves out of existence. How long can the body last going 1,000 miles per hour every single fucking day? Okay? And so that's why I apologized on Facebook for that whole Jilly Juice bullshit. Oh my God. When I look back on how I acted a couple years ago, because I'm trying to sell the JJ and be this guru, and I'm taking all the pretty people on my Facebook who bought into the standards of beauty. Filtered face, cute skinny body, they're a model in the modeling industry. And I'm plastering their face all over freaking my group and everywhere. Made other people feel horrible about themselves. Made other people say, oh, I gotta go now and be like them. But then I was also losing a bunch of weight, and I, was playing up to that because that's what was going on at the time. I lost a bunch of weight when I did so much J juice, but I lost a lot of substance. I could not get away with what I did then today. Oh, hell no. I'd probably be dead by now if I were to keep doing the J juice and lose that much weight. And so then I realized that really what is the most important is dealing with your predisposed issues, and you might look ugly. I've looked ugly. I've been blabbering or lose my train of thought and not seem well put together. And so now it's about evolution. It's about how are you evolving your brain? What kind of mistakes have you made that you're willing to own up to? How are you going to develop yourself? What is your purpose? These are some really deep, deep things that a lot of people haven't really thought about because of all the distractions, their job, their boyfriends, their husbands, their associations. And so it is the age of reckoning. It is recognizing what kind of programming we came from, and now how do we reprogram ourselves so we can survive this? That it's okay to look horrible. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to own up to your mistakes. That's the power. That's the freedom. It's okay to evolve. I've been evolving so fucking quickly the last couple weeks. It's mind-boggling. When I'm going and trying to evolve a line from Black Sabbath and talk about heaven and hell and John Milton and I'd rather be a reign in hell than be a servant in heaven, and people are like freaking out. I mean, I'm going through some freaking thought processes really quickly. And then I'm coming to certain conclusions that then is simplified. And then I realize I don't have to go down the rabbit holes of CERN and Wi-Fi and viruses. And I mean, yeah, but I don't have to go through those rabbit holes of HARP and then trying to figure out, are they trying to kill us? I mean, we understand the whole Georgia Guidestones. How far am I going to take the Georgia Guidestones? Well, those are the tenets. Those are what the mission statement of the world is. And you either deal with these viruses and the frequencies and the change of climate, or you don't. Is it purposeful? Well, maybe it is. Now that we know that we're going through climate change, maybe this is what we need to lead up to. Maybe this is what we need to maintain. And so if the climate change is a natural thing, if climate change is organic and it's not being preempted by something, and they've already seen the writing on the wall, who's they, those scientists and all the whatever think tanks, then they can then say, okay, now that we are going through this process, we're going to find every way we can to counter some aggressive situations and give people the opportunity to figure out how they're going to, redirect their life. And then ultimately, this is where we want to end up. We want to have 500 million and all the rest of the tenets. Because remember, you can take anything and go from, you can look at the different perspective, and you don't know really any of the actual truth. There are many truths that are all relevant. And you can't prove if it's organic or if it's contrived. There's no way. So really, what's the most important? The most important is that you survive it. You now question your association with the medical holistic system, with the antibiotics, with the natural remedies, with always trying to be cured and go 1,000 miles per hour to be wealthy and famous and successful at the detriment of your children, of your family, of yourself. Now is the time to redirect and reconsider and figure out your purpose, and then develop yourself intellectually and program yourself. Not allow someone else to program you, but you program yourself, which is completely the opposite of the old world. That's the bottom line. And it took me 6 years to figure that shit out. It took me 3 weeks to face my own childhood predisposed issues. And it was torture. It was probably the worst experience ever because it kept dragging on, and I did not anticipate that I would get over it. I even questioned my own methods of whether or not I should go and get some medication to give me some relief. And even people felt my angst, and they're like, go see a doctor, Jillian. And I don't blame them saying that, because when someone is that tortured by the pain of their own predisposed issues, it is, let me tell you, it's life-changing. But intellectually, you have to know what you're doing. And even you will second guess yourself as you're going through the pain. And people have, and they've taken themselves to the doctor, and that's exactly what you should do, because if you're not prepared to deal with the pain, you need to see a doctor. But I knew exactly what I was dealing with. I still had my own doubts. Everybody does. That's only human. You have to weigh out both sides. But then you're like, okay, well, I'm not in any hurry. I'm not trying to go back to work. I'm not dying, even though it felt like I was dying, but I'm not dying. You know, I knew I wasn't dying. I was still eating and drinking and pooping, though I was feeling like complete and utter shit, and the searing pain of the headache was intense. But I'm like, I got to deal with it. I keep eating, drinking water, and pooping, and sleeping. I'll be okay. And finally, I saw the light at the end of the tunnel, but it took weeks to get the mucus out. And so, so that was my age of reckoning. You're all going to have your own reckoning. I don't know when it's going to happen. Some of you only felt a tiny snippet. Some of you are still cured and think this is the next greatest thing to slice bread, is being cured and feeling nothing. But eventually, the devil, Mother Nature, does take her due. And when she does, it is aggressive. It is so aggressive, you're going to question if you're even going to survive it. It'll be so aggressive, you're going to check yourself into a hospital and then take yourself further and further and further and further behind the 8 ball. That's why I say preempt shit now, so it doesn't become an out-of-control monster later on. But when someone's doing so well and they love their life, they're not going to want to go and preempt anything and then go and deal with that monster, not knowing when that monster is going to finally be purged. I get that is the catch-22. And so you really have to be committed and plan out how you're going to do this. And it's going to take strategy. It's going to take so much planning. Because you can't just go and say, okay, I'm going to let loose the monster, and your world is expecting you to be on point every single freaking day. Your kids expect you to be on point, your husband, your job, your coworkers. And if you have so many people depending upon you and you're trying to release the monster, it ain't going to work. It is not going to work. You really have to strategize your way into surviving the reckoning that will eventually happen. And that reckoning could be just dying, could just be vital organ failure. Some people get the luxury of cancer disease and chronic illness and autoimmune disorders, and they can redirect. Other people don't get that luxury because they have played that game so well that they don't feel anything, and they're just happily making their money, and then one day, bam, they died in their sleep. They didn't wake up. And that will happen to a lot of my Jilly Juice crowd, because they got the gift of being cured, and so they're doing amazing in their job. They love everything about their life, and they don't want to trigger the real monster that's lurking within. They only got the little bit of the monster. But the real monster, when you face that real monster, it will change you. It will change you on such a level that you won't be the same person. And many people are not prepared to be somebody different. And I get that. But I'm just going to warn those of you that are watching all of my people. Not everyone's going to survive this new world, because they cannot get out of their own way, and they're cured, and they're very, very distracted, and they won't give time to their sickness. All right, bye.